TKras.
Yes. Rays losing 2 out of 3 over the weekend in Houston. It began really well on Friday, and then Saturday was just like a bag over the head punch in the face. I mean, you're up 7-2, and then they blew it. Yordan Alvarez, who is the hottest hitter in baseball this side of Junior Caminero. I mean, the two hottest hitters in baseball went toe-to-toe over the weekend in Houston. And Alvarez is something else, man, let me tell you. I wish he was on my team. I don't think that's going to be possible. I know a lot of Rays fans are dreaming about a Caminero-Alvarez tandem. I think that is a pipe dream at this point. It's nice to dream. Fiction can be fun, but that's what it is. Absolute dreaming. But Yordan Alvarez should be respected. I mean, that's the one guy you can't let beat you. The Rays had some unfortunate walks on Saturday, and they couldn't get it done. And then yesterday, it was just not a good day for the Rays bats. For once, they were quite silent, as the Rays were silenced by the Astros by a score of 2-0. The game on Saturday was a bitter pill to swallow. There's no question. And losing 2 out of 3 is not ideal. It began great on Friday night. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I think we saw a little bit from all three categories over the weekend in regards to your first-place race. Nick Fortes had a home run. Junior Caminero, I mean, the run he's on right now is unlike anything we've seen in recent memory. Again, the two hottest hitters were in Houston this weekend. It was Caminero and it was Alvarez, and it was really quite the spectacle to watch, really, from both ends of it. At the end of the day, the Rays are still 4 games up on the Yankees in the American League East, 5 up in the loss column. And it was a 4-2 road trip, so all in all, you sweep the Royals, and then you won the first game against Houston. It looked like you were well on your way. You're riding a 9-game winning streak. There was certainly a lot to feel good about. Unfortunately, the game Saturday was a gut punch. There's no other way to put it, being up 7-2 and blowing that game. And then yesterday, I mean, they weren't involved whatsoever. I mean, they were due for one of those because right now the offense had been performing at a really high level, and unfortunately they came down to earth in the game yesterday. Do you know for the month of June, the Rays hit 260 as a team offensively? That's really good. I mean, if you're hitting 260 as a team, you're getting things done. They won 13-13, and there was obviously a lull the middle part of June when they went out west and they lost 5 of 6 games. They lost all 3 games at Dodger Stadium to the Dodgers, all by 1 run. So it was very frustrating. But the Rays picked it up a little bit, and they got really hot toward the end. They had a 7-3 homestand, and then a day off, and then they went on the road to begin a stretch of 13 games in as many days, 13 days. And it started out real well with a sweep in Kansas City, and then they won Friday in Houston, 3-1, and then they lost Saturday and Sunday. Over the course of a long season, it's going to go that way. But I think where the Rays are at right now at 52-35 is a really good spot. You know, you played 87 games. You're past the halfway point. The pitching is holding up. Could they use more help? Of course. The hitting, for the most part, has been outstanding with the big 3 of Diaz, Caminero, and Aranda, which is about as good as any threesome there is right now in Major League Baseball. They've been carrying this team. And what you like is that some of the other ancillary players, a supporting cast, Nick Fortes had a really great game on Friday. How about Cedric Mullins? You know, if it was up to some of you people out there, he would have been cut in May. That's why you got to calm the F down over the course of 162 games. That's why I'm here, to kind of be the voice of reason, where some of you, well, the manager should have been fired, and the president of baseball ops should have been fired, and Cedric Mullins needs to be DFA'd, and all this other crazy, insane kooky talk. And that's what it is. It's kooky talk. You're not feeling that way now, are you? And Cedric Mullins has really turned it up a notch or two, and that means good things for the Rays, and it means they're going to have a good problem to have in that outfield situation. Because Chandler Simpson, you've seen some signs of life from him. Yeah, there are some injured guys on the way back. Also down at Durham, and we talked about this young man, I think, 2 weeks ago. The X factor, I think, in the outfield is going to be Jacob Melton. And now that he's back from his ankle injury, he again is showing some flashes of that big-time talent that caused the Rays to make that trade, and he was the centerpiece of the Brandon Lowe trade. He's a plus defender. He's a plus talent. He can run, he can hit, he can defend, he can hit for some power. I think Jacob Melton is a guy that's going to be heard from sooner rather than later. So the Rays may have an ace up their sleeve in terms of a guy who could help them in that outfield in one Jacob Melton. And right now, here we are on July the 6th. We're less than a month away with the trade deadline rapidly approaching. This weekend, obviously, a lot of great things are happening as the Rays are back home for a 7-game homestand. The Yankees are in for 4. We'll talk about them in a matter of moments. And then the Mariners come in for 3 before the All-Star break. Very big series against the Yankees starting tonight. And then the Mariners this weekend. The Longo Legacy weekend is this weekend. Evan Longoria inducted into the Rays Hall of Fame on Saturday. We are efforting to get him on the show. Hopefully we'll have him later on this week. But we're going to celebrate the greatest player in Rays history this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, he'll have his number retired. Evan Longoria will get the honor and the respect and the day/days to remember him and his achievements within this organization. It is well justified, and that's coming up this weekend. I love the fact that they're opening the upper deck. That's also another great thing. We talked about that last week. Great vantage point from up there, especially if you're sitting kind of behind home plate. Boy, you can see everything. And at some point, I may venture up there at some point this weekend to grab a view. And if you're going to the games this weekend, you know, there's nothing wrong. Obviously, sitting close to the field, it would be nice. It would be ideal. But those tickets up there, that's a great bird's eye view, and you can see everything. The sight lines up there are fantastic. They really are. So I'm looking forward to this weekend when Evan Longoria gets honored on Saturday and Sunday. And we are efforting to get Longo on the show. We're efforting to get a lot of interesting guests on the show this weekend to commemorate Evan Longoria and his contributions to the Tampa Bay area, as well as this Rays organization. Evan Longoria, obviously, has been an all-star starter before. We got word over the weekend of 4 Rays heading to the all-star game, and we kind of figured that it would be 4. Do they deserve more? Yes, and there's an opportunity for them to maybe add another player or 2, because there were a couple of guys, namely Nick Martinez and Jonathan Aranda, who are all-star worthy. But you're going to see players later on this week that will back out. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is one of those players. He's already backed out. You're going to see more players back out. And if that's the case, you might get an opportunity for even more Rays to be named to the All-Star team. But as we sit right here and right now, we're talking about 4 Rays in the All-Star game, with Junior Caminero being a starter for the 2nd straight year. That's never happened before. You would figure Longoria did it, but Longo had a little bit of an issue with his finger. He went in 09, and then the finger knocked him out in 10, and then he went back in 11. So that was the deal with Evan Longoria there. He started in 09. He was voted to start, didn't play in the game because of a finger infection. And then he was elected as a starter in 2010. He actually made that start. So, you know, if his finger was okay, he would have been a multiple-time All-Star in terms of being a starter in 09 and 10. But Junior Caminero technically becomes the first Ray to be able to do it. By the way, happy birthday to Junior. He turned 23 yesterday. Happy birthday to Junior Caminero. Fantastic. 23 years old and doing what he's been doing. Just an incredible run that he's on. So he's starting at third base. Yandy Diaz named an all-star, as well as Drew Rasmussen, as well as the guy who joined us last week. Reliever Brian Baker has had a great year. He said he was shocked over the weekend. I don't know why he's shocked, because I told him last week, you're an all-star, you're going there, and this is what he had to say about it when he was on the drive last week. Here's Brian Baker.
Hey, I mean, it's kind of hard not to now that it's getting a little closer, and we see all the voting stuff going on. And right now, I'm campaigning obviously for Cammy. It looks like he's in a good spot, and I think if Yandy Diaz isn't there, then something's extremely wrong with the process of selecting. So. For anybody listening, make sure we get Yandy Diaz in there. He's been fantastic, but yeah, that's about the extent that I've really been focused on it.
Yeah, look, he was focused on it, and he was thinking about it, and he mentioned it when he was on with me last week, and he's in the All-Star game, and he's been one of the more dominant relievers in baseball, and it's well-deserved. So congratulations to Brian Baker, and look, the typical teammate that he is, he's looking after his own guys. Let's make sure we get Yandy in there, he said. Yandy is in there. And Yandy's deserving. And Drew Rasmussen, who's been the Rays' ace for all intents and purposes, he's their ace. He's their guy. And whether or not the Rays add more to that room remains to be seen. I think the answer to that question is going to be yes. I think the Rays will add to that room come the trade deadline, and that's something we'll be talking about over the next 3+ weeks or so as we come closer to the August 3rd trade deadline, something to keep in mind. But between now and then, Eric Neander and his crew has a lot of work to do. The amateur draft takes place this weekend, so that is what they're fixated on. By the way, Chris Mathis, you weren't here on Friday because you were busy attending the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding, I'm imagining.
One can only hope, but anyway.
You weren't forced to sign an NDA to attend the wedding?
I'm not we're going to leave that at that. But what were you going to say? Did it have to do with Eric Neander by chance?
Yeah, and this just goes to show Eric Neander's commitment to this here radio station and the friendship with yours truly and the drive. He had meetings all day Friday regarding the draft and the amateur draft because they're going over different scenarios, not necessarily with the second pick. I mean, come on. I mean, you got the second overall pick, which is great. There are 2 shortstops and a catching prospect, and now the Rays are trying to figure out. I think they have a pretty good idea which way they'll go with the second pick, but it's also pick number 33 and so on and so forth and down the line. But he had meetings all day on Friday, and Eric Neander sectioned off a 20-minute portion of his schedule to come on the drive because he was ensconced in draft meetings all day. That's commitment for you right there.
Yeah, what a guy. Truly, what a guy. Always finding a way to join you, Tom, on this very show.
I have no idea why.
and peel back the curtain just a little bit so the fans have somewhat of an idea of what's going on with the Rays organization.
Yeah, for sure. But he'll join us again this Friday, and we'll be right there on the precipice of the amateur draft, and we'll get his thoughts on that as well as other things happening. There's a lot of rumors, and we'll get into some rumors regarding the Rays on what they might be looking for come the trade deadline. They're going to be looking for multiple positions. We'll just put it at that. But first thing is first. Tonight, the Rays will open a series, and a very big one at that, against the second-place New York Yankees.
The New York Yankees?
The New York Yankees!
Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle, Judge, Costanza. Yes, that New York Yankees team that's 4 games behind the Rays in the American League East, 5 out in the loss column. It's a very big series for the Yankees, and that is how they are looking at it. Word out of the New York jungles is that the Yankees are feeling a sense of urgency, even though they have not played well. No Aaron Judge, and he is obviously his comeback, his return is not anywhere in the near time vicinity. They don't know when he's going to come back. And without him, they have struggled in a very big way. The Yankees are struggling to hit the ball. They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Twins over the weekend. The Minnesota Twins took them out 2 out of 3 over the weekend. And that's kind of saying something. So the Yankees are reeling a little bit, and they look at this as a big series. Look, if you're the Rays, you got the best home record in baseball. All right, you're back home after a 4-2 road trip. Obviously, the goal is to take 3 out of 4. But if you're the Rays, and they're not, obviously they want to win every single game, they're not going to admit to this publicly. If you're the Rays, even Steven, if you split with the Yankees over the next 4 games, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, do you want to win 3 out of 4? Absolutely. The Yankees are reeling a little bit. Winning 3 out of 4 means you'll gain 2 more games in the standings, which means the Yankees would be 6 out. But if you split, that means the Yankees don't gain ground. That means it's even Steven. The Yankees don't gain any ground, and then going into the weekend series against Seattle, the Yankees would still be 4 games out and 5 out in the loss column. So I think if you're the Rays, you're content with a split at this point. Do you want to split? No, you want to win 3 out of 4. You got the Yankees on the ropes, and the Yankees have been struggling. In the month of June, the Yankees hit .222 as a team without Aaron Judge. They went 12-14, whereas the Rays went 13-13. And so far in 4 games in the month of July, the Yankees are 1-3. They've lost 3 out of 4, and as a team, they're hitting .195. So there are some struggles there. And this should be a very big series, more so for the Yankees than I would say it's for the Tampa Bay Rays. This is a bigger series for the Yankees than it is for the Rays. There's no question about it because the Yankees are chasing. And the Yankees are going to throw some of their best pitchers at the Rays over the next 4 days in order to try and gain some ground beginning tonight. The Yankees' ace so far this season is on the mound tonight, and that would be Cam Schlittler against Griffin Jacks. And then Will Warren will go tomorrow night. The Rays are probably going to go with kind of a bullpen type of day tomorrow night. McClanahan will go on Wednesday night against Garrett Cole, and then Drew Rasmussen will go for the Rays on Thursday afternoon. So if you can steal like the first game or 2, then you're in great shape with McClanahan and Rasmussen going games 3 and 4. So I think that's the goal. If the Rays can find a way to beat Schlittler tonight, then I think they're going to be in great shape moving forward. All right, great to have you with us on this beautiful Overreaction Monday. Your thoughts on the Rays and the Yankees series, what happened over the weekend in Houston. 888-388-0957. Text at 82945. Evan Klosky coming up at 4:05. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was will be coming your way at 4:30. We're on the air to 5:30. And then it's Buzz the Tower with Ronnie Lane or whatever that show is called. To get
you just said that, I started writing some things
down.
Well,
write it down, Kevin Cash. The Yankees are in town. It's time to get down to business. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Yankee fans in attendance tonight. Who cares? This is about us. This is about doing this over the next 4 days or so. All right, when we come back, the Rays are doing well. They're in first place. They got a 4-game cushion on the Yankees so far, 5 in the loss column. There is a growing concern for me regarding the Rays. I'm going to tell you about it next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
All right, it is The Drive, and it's driven by our guys over at Moss Nissan, where the goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras and Chris Mathis here. You need to come on down, and you need to see the all-new lineup of 2026 Nissans. And when you buy that vehicle, you'll get Moss Care. What does that mean? You'll get lifetime oil changes, tire rotations. Plus, they're now offering Sunday service hours as well.
That they are, Tom. Plus, at Moss Nissan, they're offering They have 3 different locations to better serve you here in the Tampa area. That's North Tampa, Newport Richey, and Brooksville. Plus, do what Tom and I did. Do what a lot of people are doing across the Bay. Join the Moss family at Moss Nissan.
Their goal is to never lose your business over price. You can also check them out online at mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.